Of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. To type your question, simply click on the chat box. You will then see two symbols appear. The @ symbol will mean your comment or question will be posted publicly for others to see. The email symbol means your comment or question can be sent directly to the person of your choice from the list that will appear. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now this bit is for the parents, guardians and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to the Learn Live channel and to today's Post-16 Options broadcast with Higher Horizons. The Higher Horizons team want to provide Year 9 to 11 pupils with advice and guidance about the options available in further education. You will hear from Higher Horizons Plus, a local college and current university student ambassadors. Also joining us for this event is Kamal Ellis Hyman from Aim a Little Higher, who'll be talking to everyone about how to keep motivated during this difficult time. Finally, we will finish the event off with a short quiz to test your knowledge. But first, before we begin, please remember if you have a question for any of the speakers or teams that we'll be hearing from today, please leave them in the live chat, which is situated next to the video player. Once you leave your questions, one of the teams will get back to you as soon as possible. And if you want to find out more about events such as this, please click on the subscribe button just above and you can get the up-to-date information that you need. Please make sure to fill out the evaluation form for Higher Horizons so that they can help to find out what you want to know more about. The code word is pineapple, so make sure to use the allotted time to fill this out. I'm now going to hand over to the Higher Horizons team as they introduce the rest of this Post-16 Options broadcast. Over to you.
Hi everyone, welcome to this Post-16 Options event being hosted by Higher Horizons today. My name's Lauren and I'm just going to be taking you through a series of short videos that try and give you some information, advice and guidance on your further education options, so that what you can do when you finish your GCSEs. As the videos are being shown today, you do have the opportunity to ask questions via the chat function, which is just a box at the right-hand side of your screen. Today, we've got student ambassadors and we've got Higher Horizons Plus staff on hand to answer those questions for you. We're also really lucky today to be joined by Kamal Ellis-Hyman from Aim a Little Higher, who some of you might have worked with before or seen his assemblies. And he's going to be doing a video all around how to stay motivated and how to motivate yourself to go and research what options are best for you, which is really, really important. He's also going to be on hand on the chat today, answering all your questions, and we're going to be testing his knowledge as well as yours in a short quiz at the end of the event. The last thing to mention is that towards the end of the event, there will be an evaluation form that we'll ask you to fill in. We'll just put the link in the chat box. You'll click on that and then answer some really quick questions. It will ask you for a code word, which today is pineapple, but we will remind you of that later on in the event. So please do enjoy the videos. Please do take in as much information as you can, and do ask any questions that you've got in the chat box, because there's no such thing as a silly question. Enjoy. So the first video today is going to aim to give you an overview of the 4 different options that you can take once you finish GCSEs. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know what the 4 options are, you'll have a more detailed knowledge of them, and it will help you to decide what is best for you, because each of the options offers something slightly different for the student who is studying them. Remember, as I'm going through the options today, it's okay to not have a clear idea of exactly what you want to do yet. The whole idea of today is just to give you some information and some things to start thinking about. It's also really important to know that you can change your mind as well. There are ways you can change your course or qualification, different routes you can take to get to university and employment and things like that. So don't put lots of pressure on yourself to know exactly what you want to do right away, because you absolutely don't. The most important thing to do at the moment is to be working hard, or as hard as you can, at school, and to just start doing little bits of research to help you understand a bit more what could be best for you. The first 2 options we're going to talk about today, you've probably heard of before. So A-levels are generally heard of by lots of students because a lot of schools have 6th forms attached to them. So you might have seen A-level students walking around school. Sometimes they don't have to wear a uniform. So A-levels are 2 years of study where you usually study at least 3 subjects. You can study 4 if you want, but most students do 3. These subjects are usually things you've already studied at school. So things like history, your sciences, geography, they're usually subjects that you have studied and will know a little bit before. But sometimes there are new ones such as psychology and sociology that might be offered by your local 6th form. A-levels are mainly exam-based, so there may be some coursework involved, but the majority of your assessment will be done in an exam at the end of your 2 years. So when you're thinking about whether A-levels are right for you, think about how you do under exam conditions. Do you get really stressed? How do you feel when you're sitting an exam? Think about those things as well. And the other thing to bear in mind with A-levels is it's usually at least 9 hours timetabled lesson time a week. Now that doesn't sound too much, but it can be more depending on the subjects in your school. And in those free periods that you have, you're expected to use that time to be revising or to be completing homework or assignments that have been set by your teachers. The other option you can take is BTECs. This is again 2 years of study, just like A-levels, but this time you only study 1 subject, and it's sometimes known as an extended diploma. BTECs are generally much more practical than A-levels, and they have a lot of coursework involved. So whereas A-levels you're assessed a lot through exams, BTECs tend to be more assessed through courseworks and ongoing assignments throughout the 2 years. And you can also get work experience through BTECs as well, depending on the course that you've chosen and the college that you're taking it at. It's about the same studying time, so 9 hours timetabled lesson time a week, but again, that could be more or less depending on your subject, and you are still expected to work outside of those 9 hours to be getting that coursework and that work completed in time. You can, if you want to, study a combined programme of BTECs and A-levels and combine the two. That's completely up to you, and again, it's another conversation to have with your local college or your school. Both A-levels and BTECs will enable you to go on to university if you wanted to, following on from those qualifications. The other two qualifications that you may or may not have heard of are T-levels and apprenticeships. Now, T-levels are brand new qualifications that were introduced last year and are still being introduced now. So as you're doing your research, you might see more and more different types of T-levels cropping up in different subjects. So T-levels are equivalent to 3 A-levels. So that means that the qualification you get at the end of completing a T-level is the same as if you'd done 3 A-levels. With a T-level, you do just study one subject and you are assessed by coursework and exams, but also you're assessed through a work placement. And the really great thing about T-levels is that you have to do a 45-day industry placement that links to the subject that you're studying it in. So with a T-level, you're going to get that really great work experience as well as a qualification. So T-levels, they are new, they will take you doing a bit more research, but if you want something practical that's going to give you work experience, T-levels could be the one for you. And the final one that's a little bit different is an apprenticeship. So an apprenticeship is where you earn while you learn. And what I mean by that is you're in full-time employment. So you're not full-time at college, you're not full-time at school, you're actually employed by somebody and being paid full-time while studying on the side. So apprenticeships sometimes can be a bit more work because you've got to fit in a full-time job as well as doing your studying. Usually the study timetable is agreed between your employer and the apprenticeship provider. So the apprenticeship provider is usually a college. So that will depend on how many hours you are completing a week in terms of your actual studying. Apprenticeships can lead on to higher or degree apprenticeships rather than a sort of a traditional degree, but you can get a degree after doing an apprenticeship if you want to. The other difference with an apprenticeship is that you don't really apply the same way that you do for T-levels, A-levels and BTECs. What you actually do is you have to apply for a job. This can be through the college website or through a job website, but you need to go to apprenticeships.gov.uk to search for apprenticeships available, and then you'll have to do a CV, you might have to do a personal statement. So you are actually applying for that job, so it's a little bit different. When you finish GCSEs, there are 2 types of apprenticeships you might want to look at. So there's level 2 intermediate, which is the same as GCSE qualifications, it's the equivalent. Or there's level 3 advanced, which is the equivalent of doing A-levels or BTECs. So that's something else to bear in mind. There's 2 different kinds of apprenticeships you could apply for when you finish GCSEs. But if you're ready to go for full-time work, if you know of an employer that's hiring apprentices and it's something that you want to do, then that's the route for you as well. So how do you decide which of those options is best for you? Start asking yourself just some simple questions. Do you want to continue studying specific subjects? Are there subjects you really like at school that you want to carry on? If that case, A-levels might be for you. Are you ready to go full-time work? Do you think you could take on an apprenticeship and study, be studying at the same time as working? Do you know what career you want to work in? If you've already got an idea of the career, you could try and work backwards. For example, if you want to be a doctor, if you go on the internet and look at what qualifications you need to be a doctor, you'll see that actually you need to have done A-levels to go on and study a medicine degree at university. How do you learn best? Are you practical? Are you more academic? Do you mind doing exams? Those things are going to be really important to be thinking about when you are going on to choose your options. And think about what you want to get out of your post-16 options as well. Do you want to get work experience out of them? Are you just looking for a qualification? What's important to you? And to help you answer those questions, please speak to teachers, careers advisors, parents and carers. Look at your local college website. Are there open days, virtual or otherwise, for your college or your local sixth form? Be doing all that talking to people and figuring out what is best for you. Please do not go and do exactly what your best friend is doing, and because they might have a completely different career pathway in mind to you. So it's really important you do what is right for you. To give you an example, there's 4 students here who've already started asking themselves those questions. And it's up to you now to try and think about, well, what would be best? What would be the best option for each of these students? So student A, he wants to become a doctor and he does well in exams. Well, I've already mentioned that to be a doctor, you have to have gone to university and done A-levels. So that's A-levels. And we know that A-levels have exams. So for student A, A-levels are probably the best option. For student B, she learns best by doing and she does not like sitting exams. So for student B, A-levels would not be the right choice because she doesn't like exams and she's much more practical. So BTECs might be a better option for student B. Student C wants to carry on studying but would like some work experience as well. So she wants to get that industry placement. So T-levels are probably the right option for student C because you absolutely 100% get an industry placement with T-levels. You can get work experience with BTECs, but it does depend on the course and the college, whereas with T-levels, it's 100% guaranteed. And student D, he feels ready to go into the workplace and earn money while learning something practical. So he knows he wants to go and earn money straight away. He's ready to get into the workplace. We know that you earn while you learn when you do an apprenticeship. So apprenticeships would be best for student D. So just start thinking about what's important to you now, and that'll kind of give you a bit of an idea of which qualification might be best for you when you finish your GCSEs. So thank you for listening to this short presentation today. If you've got any questions about any of the options I've spoken about, pop them in the chat. If you've got any questions that come up after the event today, just head to highhorizons.co.uk/ask and one of our advisors will answer them for you. Thank you for listening.
My name is Christina.
And my name's Erin.
And we work on the school engagement team for Warrington and Vale Road College. So we're here to speak to you today about the apprenticeships that we offer at the college.
You may have heard about apprenticeships before, but may be unsure about what they actually involve or how to apply for one. So we hope this video can answer all of your questions.
So what is an apprenticeship? An apprenticeship is where, in general, you would spend 4 days a week with an employer in the workplace and 1 day a week in college studying the theory element of the course. Now this is a great way to pick up practical skills that employers are looking for, as well as building up your work experience, all whilst earning a wage.
Why choose us? More than 90% of our apprentices continue in employment once they finish their apprenticeship. We have a dedicated matching service and match your skills to an employer. Our experienced team will work with you and guide you through your apprenticeship. We will closely monitor your progress and keep in contact with your employer. In October 2019, Ofsted commended us as an overall good college and noted the high level of support we offer our students.
Hopefully you like the sound of everything so far and like the sound of taking on a work-based qualification. You'll want to know what subjects that we offer. As you can see, there is a wide range of subjects to suit a variety of interests.
We also have an apprenticeship matching service. Our dedicated apprenticeship team will take all of your details, such as the area you live in and what sort of job you're looking for. Then, when a suitable vacancy becomes available, they'll put you forward.
So there's a few myths about apprenticeships which we hope we can clear up here. Apprentices earn a very low wage. As an apprentice, you will be on a minimum of £4.15 per hour as from April 2020. Depending on your trade and employer, this could be much higher. Apprentices don't get treated well. As an apprentice, you have the exact same rights as any other employee and will receive high quality training. Apprenticeships don't lead to full-time jobs. Over 90% of WVR apprentices continue into full-time employment or get promoted.
Is an apprenticeship right for me? If you're considering an apprenticeship, there are some questions to ask yourself to help you decide if it's the right pathway for you. Do you have an idea of what kind of career you'd like to pursue? Before you begin an apprenticeship, it's important to have an idea of what sort of industry you'd like to work in. You also need to think about what sort of learner you are. If you think you'd enjoy practical and work-based learning, then an apprenticeship is likely to suit you. Do you feel ready to start work with an employer and be based in a workplace? As an apprentice, your employer will have certain expectations of you, such as punctuality and the ability to work in a team. You need to make sure you have a mature attitude towards working and can get on with a diverse range of people. Are you well organised and able to cope with working and studying at the same time? Apprentices need to make sure they put in 100% effort into both their job and their studies. Apprenticeships can be demanding and are certainly not the easy option.
So apprenticeships, like any job vacancy, can be very competitive, especially in this current climate. The first step is to create a professional CV which you will need to submit to apply for a role. We always recommend doing a bit of research into CV writing, and there's lots of advice online to help you write a standout CV. Job search websites such as Reed are a good place to start, offering lots of information on what to include. Remember, there may be over 100 applicants going for the same job. What skills make you stand out from the others? Our apprenticeship team can also help you with CV writing.
The next step is to start looking for an apprenticeship. You may know somebody with their own business who can take you on as an apprentice. If not, you can provide your details to the Apprenticeship Matching Service, who can help you find an employer. You should also take a look at the Government Apprenticeship website, which is always listing a huge range of the latest vacancies. You should also check out our College Apprenticeship website, where we're always listing vacancies from our partner employers.
So in some cases you might not find an apprenticeship straight away. That's not a problem. We advise students to enrol onto a full-time vocational course and then switch onto an apprenticeship when one becomes available. Now this is a great way to build up practical skills that employers are looking for and in turn makes you an attractive candidate.
We hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful and interesting. Now it's time to get in touch with our apprenticeship team to find out more and register your details. You can contact them on apprenticeships@wvr.ac.uk.
And don't forget to follow us on social media and go onto our college website where you can register online for our upcoming open evenings. We really encourage you to come along to one of our open evenings as it gives you a real sense of what it's like to be at our college. Thank you so much for watching and we look forward to seeing you very soon.
A Level 3 Customer Service Apprenticeship with Warrington and Vale Royal College. I completed a Customer Service Level 3 Apprenticeship which was across 18 months and covered 8 units. Some of the units were communication methods, analysing customer feedback and customer retention. I was assessed via observations, coursework and exams. I chose an apprenticeship because I was looking to earn money and to start working as soon as possible. I began a college course first but it just wasn't for me, so I started my apprenticeship and it was the best thing I did. I would recommend the apprenticeship route for anyone who no longer wants to be in full-time education and wants to start working and earning and learning from an employer. It was the best decision I made. I've learned a lot from my employer, I've matured a lot and I secured a job from it as well. And I'm a student recruitment advisor and secured this job directly through my apprenticeship.
I do course inquiries, course enrolments, emails, phone calls, customers coming into college, and it was the best decision I ever made doing my apprenticeship.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining us for our Post-16 Options event today. Hopefully you've enjoyed what you've seen so far. We've got with us now 2 student ambassadors from Harper Adams University who are currently studying their degrees. So we've got Thomas and we've got Molly, and they're going to chat to us a little bit about the Post-16 options they took, how they found them, and how they decided to choose those as well. So we're just going to go straight in, and if you'd just like to introduce yourselves, tell us what Post-16 option you chose and the subject that it was in. So if we start with Thomas.
Yeah, sure. So I went straight into A-levels after finishing GCSEs. Initially, in my first year, I chose 4 or 5. So I did English, French, Media Studies and History. But then in my second year, I was able to change them. So 2 of them stayed the same. So I carried on with French and English, but I was able to drop Media Studies and History and take Geography as a full A-level, studying 2 years worth of work in 1 year. Yeah, and I remember the other day, I actually took a GCSE Italian alongside. So there are opportunities sometimes, depending on where you study.
So you gave yourself a lot of work in your Post-16
I did.
options then.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for punishment, clearly.
So the same question to you, Molly. If you could just introduce yourself and tell us what option you chose and the subject it was in.
I'm Molly, and I actually did a BTEC after my GCSEs rather than A-levels. And I did that in food technology with management, which is quite similar to the course I'm studying now. And I did that because I'm more practical and coursework based rather than exams. And at the time my school wanted me to take 4 A-levels, and there wasn't 4 available that I wanted to do, so I chose the BTEC instead.
Brill. So that kind of takes me on to my next question. You're always really good at that, Molly, anticipating what I'm going to ask next. So you chose the option because it was more hands-on, there was more coursework and less exams. Is that right? Yeah, brill. So that was just a different option for you rather than taking A-levels, which tend to be more exam-based. So actually the same question to you then, Thomas. So why did you choose to do A-levels and not a BTEC or an apprenticeship?
Well, I had in mind that I wanted to study at university in the future. I'm lucky that I have 2 older brothers and they both took A-levels at the same college as well. So I was kind of following in their footsteps. And I knew a lot of people, a lot of my friends were going that way as well. But I think in general, I'm really glad that I did, because I guess at the time I thought I wanted to keep learning. I really enjoyed learning and just wanted to pursue that, I think.
Brilliant. That's great. So your next question then is, were your A-levels or your diploma what you were expecting them to be like? What did you enjoy about them, and were there any downsides at all? So we'll start with you, Molly. Was it what you expected?
Kind of, because I've been to a lot of the open days, so I kind of had spoken to students and teachers there, so to get an insight of kind of how the course was going to run. It was quite a small course at the time, so there was only about 30 of us on our course, so I got to know everyone quite well. Probably the only downside of it was when I came to university, first 2 years we had exams and I hadn't done them since I was 16, so I had to really learn the exam techniques again. But I'd had all the coursework when I did my BTEC, so I knew kind of how to do coursework and how to write essays and reports, which some of my friends hadn't. So there's pros and cons to both, I'd say.
Absolutely. And same question to you, Tom. Was your A-levels what you were expecting it to be like, and what was good and maybe what wasn't so good?
Yeah, well, good question. I guess my worst fears were that it would simply be an extension of GCSEs and that I should get out into the big wide world of work sooner. But actually, I found it to be completely different. When I was doing my A-levels, I was I felt really like viewed as an adult, not just a student, but an adult with kind of finding the way in the world and exploring ideas. I got to encounter like new subjects that I hadn't really studied before formally, like media studies, and go a lot deeper with geography, which I went on to study at university. I guess, I really enjoyed it. So yeah.
That's good. It's good that you've got happy memories of your A levels and your time at school. That's a good thing. So my next question is then, and Molly, you've already kind of touched on college open days, but what resources did you use to research your options? And was there anyone in particular that you got good advice from? So we'll start with Molly.
Like I said, I kind of spoke to the teachers and students at college because my two older brothers had taken the A-level route, so we didn't have any experience in my family of doing BTECs. But my mum kind of knew me and what I wanted to do. And I think some of my friends had done it before, so my older friends had done them. So I kind of spoke to them on both options before I actually decided. I looked at A-levels and BTECs before I decided to do the BTEC to understand both.
Brilliant. That's a really good idea. And I think, Tom, you mentioned as well, talking to your older brothers who've done A-levels and talking to people who have already done them. If you've got the opportunity to do that, that's really important. So same question to you, Tom. What resources did you use when you were researching your options?
Well, I think, like you say, I talked to my brothers, but I mostly just spoke to people rather than read. I guess there was an open day, and that was really useful to go to actually speak to, teachers, and some of them had taught me already. So, because their college was connected to the secondary school. And my family, teachers, I guess it helped to speak to people to kind of bounce ideas about and use them as a sounding board, because I think it's such a big decision, it can be hard to do it in isolation. But also speaking to like other students at the time, and discussing what their options were. Like a friend who chose to work in the family business rather than go on to A-levels. I think that was good to kind of look at all the different options.
Yeah, absolutely. And take everything into account, not just sort of look at one route and think that's got to be for me. It's definitely worth talking to lots of different people. Okay, then. So you did your options and you both had a good time by the sounds of it. How do you think your options prepared you for your future choices and the university course that you're taking now, Molly?
It definitely helped going to college because it was only like our year and the older year, so you kind of felt more independent and kind of teach. You were definitely taught in a different way, so you more taught like uni rather than school, and you had to, that independence really. And so when I came to uni, I kind of done that half stepping stone between school and uni rather than just coming straight from school. So I kind of had that way and learned some of the skills which are important for uni. And you definitely, because you didn't have young kids, the teachers kind of knew you and the way you worked, which is quite similar to when I came to Harper.
Brilliant. Yeah, so you're already a lot more independent, so coming to a different place wasn't quite as scary as going straight from school, I guess. So Tom, same question to you. How did it prepare you for university?
Well, I mean, I might not have been able to take geography at university had I not done geography at A-level, although there is another student who didn't take geography. She took it at GCSE, but not at A-level, so that's a counterexample. But there are definitely so many skills that I learned during A-level that I'm applying in my degree, like loads of practical fieldwork skills, and we got to go on loads of field trips at A-level and lots at university as well. Less this year because of the pandemic, but and I guess learning theory, learning about different case studies, and then putting them into practice, like producing essays that kind of bring everything together and doing coursework. All of that is stuff that I'm using at university. So it definitely prepared me very well. And also just being able to try out different things and explore different subjects. And so I was able to say, I tried history at A-level, wasn't my cup of tea. So geography is definitely what I wanted to do. So that helped with choosing which degree to take.
Yeah, that's just as important. It's not always just the subject, it's the skills that come around it, that communication, those written skills, those other skills that you get. So that's really important too. So my last question for you, in just one sentence, if you can, what piece of advice would you give to a student making that decision now? In one sentence, if you can. Molly, off you go.
I'd say look at your options, choose what's right for you, and talk to your family and stuff around, not like just follow what your best friend's doing and think they're doing A levels, I'm going to do that, because actually might not be the right course for you and the right way to go after your GCSEs. Brilliant.
And the same to you, Tom. What piece of advice would you give?
So this might be a long sentence. We'll see how many semicolons I can fit into it. I guess my main bit of advice would be to think about like how you want to make a difference in the world. Not just like what you might be good at, what might pay you money, but what might make a difference and help others, and maybe use that to kind of factor into your decision making for your path to get there.
That's a really good piece of advice as well. Yeah, it's not always thinking about yourself. It's about, what impact you want to have on the world, what career do you want to have as well, and almost work backwards from that idea too. So that's a really good piece of advice. And Molly, absolutely, don't just do what your best friend is doing. That's not the right way to make a decision at all. I'd just like to thank you both for taking the time to chat to me today. For any students that are watching, you can speak to our student ambassadors on the chat function. So if you've got any questions at all about their options, please use that chat function today and chat to them. And teachers as well, we've got a longer version of this chat if you would like any more in-depth answers. So if you would like that, please do get in touch with me. And thank you both again for being with me today.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having me today at the Higher Horizons Post 16 Options event. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. This information you're about to learn today is key, it's vital. It's so easy to go through a standard path or a path that's been laid out for you that people recommend for you. It takes a lot more to sit down and go, hey, let me do some research, let me find out for myself. So before we even get started, I applaud and salute you for being here to get to the bottom of what options are available to you. So my name's Kamal Ellis-Hyman, I'm the founder of a company called Aim a Little Higher, and what we get to do is travel the UK speaking to schools, colleges, universities and corporate companies with a simple mission: to help you raise your aspirations regardless of your circumstances, and you're in the perfect place for that. What we're basically saying is, hey, we're all born into different families, different scenarios, we have different living conditions, we have different places in the country where we live, where we're from, but none of that matters when it comes to picking your pathway for the future. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I don't really want you to focus on whether anyone in your family has gone to university, got an apprenticeship, gone to college. It's not about that. It's about saying, hey, who are you? What are you about? Where do you see yourself? And what's the best pathway to get you there? So, my job today is to come and help you find that motivation to keep moving forwards, especially in the time we're currently in. I've got 10 to 15 minutes with you today, and in that time, I'd love to show you the 3 most important lessons I've learned that have helped me in everything I've gone to do since school. I want to explore how you can make the most of today's event. And finally, touch on having this mentality of seeing opportunities rather than obstacles, which, let's be honest, would be quite reasonable in the time we're in right now. But I really think we can work together, share these ideas, stay active in the chat box with any questions, and make this 15 minutes really useful for you. So you can have the best event today, but also remain motivated throughout this crazy time that we're in. So let's get started. I know some of you may have seen me before, some of you might be like, hey, who is this dude on the screen? So like I say, my name's Kamal Ellis-Hyman, 26 years old, and I'm from Lincoln! Yay, thanks. I moved here last year. Before that, I lived in Peterborough. Lived there since I was 11, and before that I lived in London. And moving from London to Peterborough was a huge shock. It was very weird, it was very different from the hustle and bustle of the city to this real slow kind of pace. But it was also my first time going to secondary school, right? So I picked up a lot of lessons in that transition, especially going into a whole new environment. And one of the most important lessons I picked up almost straight away, like on my first day, was the importance of knowing myself, knowing who I am. It's really important you get clear on who you are, what you're about, when you're moving forwards and when you're looking to make decisions. I remember being this new kid in school and I got asked some super weird questions because they'd basically never seen anybody that looked like me in their school before. So they were like, can you rap? Do you play basketball? Do you like chicken? And I was like, hold on, this is a little bit weird. And I very quickly realised that me being in this new scenario came with a certain level of expectations, what they expected me to dress like, to look like, to act like. And I sort of had the choice to go with it and follow all these expectations, which I'll be honest, I did for a little while. Extremely awkward and uncomfortable. Or to say, hey, they're your expectations, that's fine, here's how I see myself, and start to carry myself forward like that. Which I eventually did, and I'm glad that I didn't do it in the first place, to be honest. But there is something so empowering, so freeing about just getting to know yourself, being happy with who you are, and dare I say it, learning to love yourself. And that initial stage of figuring out who you are can be really simple. You know, you can start to look at what you're into, look at what makes you angry, look at what you're good at, look at what you've learnt to do, look at your hobbies, look at your interests, think about your time at school. What have been your best subjects? What other lessons have you learned within school? You know, how to get through a lesson even though you might not have the best relationship with the teacher, or how to stay focused. And you build all these things up to get an image of yourself. So the first thing is to get to know yourself, get a clear picture of who you are. The second thing I learned is that it's really important to create a vision for yourself that goes beyond education. It's sort of like having a final destination that you're going to reach. Every time I get into my car to deliver a speech, to go to somewhere to work, the first thing I do is set my sat-nav. Why? Because I want to let it know my destination, where I see myself going in the future. And what it does in return is it says, hey, to get you there, you're going to need to go this way or that way. And the beautiful thing is, whenever I take the wrong turn, which happens way too often, it doesn't just say, Kamal, what's wrong with you? It says, you've taken the wrong turn, recalculating route. We'll get you there, but it might be 15 minutes longer. I truly believe our mind kind of works the same. I think if we can get a vision in our mind of where we want to go in the future, who we want to become, then we start to make better decisions, we start to make more relevant decisions, and also we become a little bit more aware of the right opportunities when they arise. It makes me think back to like one of my first jobs. I got this job working in a bowling alley. Why? Because I didn't really have a clear destination. I was very much like, hey, whatever happens, happens, whatever opportunities come my way, I'll just say yes to everything. And I did. I worked in the bowling alley, I was an archery instructor, a fencing coach, a rock climbing coach. I did loads of jobs all at the same time because I just hadn't decided on the exact vision of where I wanted to go. That is until one fateful day where I walked into work, the manager was stood there, he looked really withdrawn and worried. I was like, is everything okay? He said, Kamal, there's been an incident. I said, what's happened? He walks me over and on the floor, a customer had literally pooed. I said, that's disgusting. He was like, it needs to be cleaned up. I said, I completely agree, don't leave it there. He was like, no, Kamal, I don't think you understand. You need to clean it up. I'd love to know how many of you would have cleaned up the poo in that moment, by the way. Let me know in the chat how you would have reacted. Thankfully, at that moment, someone else came over and was like, oh, what's the big deal? I would have just done it if I got asked. And I was like, hey, you take care of that. I'll see you later. I went home and I was like, right, I really need to get clear on where it is I'm going because I'm just keep ending up in these random jobs, random scenarios that aren't really building towards anything. Now, the beauty is, at the stage you're at, you're not yet at the point where you can be saying yes to everything and have loads of jobs. You're still studying, which is awesome. So imagine the advantage of now getting clear on who you are and then setting yourself a vision for once you're out of education. It means that all of your decisions are going to be way more relevant to where you want to go. And to be crystal clear, I'm not just talking about careers. I mean, who do you want to become? What do you see your life looking like in the future? That can be careers, that can be finance, but it could also be family And when I say family, it doesn't have to be romantic with kids if that's not what you want. It could be you and your best mate with a pet snake. Think about your bucket list. Think about places you want to see, places you want to travel, things you want to experience. Once you can look at all of those different aspects and create a vision for yourself, I promise you, you will be so much more clear on which pathway makes the most sense for you. So my advice is to get to know yourself and get clear on your vision. And the final thing I always say is don't chase your dreams. That's right, do not chase your dreams. Which I know sounds absolutely crazy. But think about it. Have any of you ever chased something? If you've ever chased something, type in the chat. I want to know what it is you have chased. For me, I've chased buses. You know when you're running for the bus and the bus driver sees you, and so you've got like an agreement, and you get a bit closer and they drive away anyway, then you're running after them. I've been there. I've got 2 daughters who are very fast. I do a lot of chasing. And the biggest one is when my dog used to dart out the door and I'd have to run down the street chasing him with like a hot dog and a sardine in each hand. At that point in my life, when I'm running after this dog, who's in control, me or the dog? Of course, the dog's in control. It can run faster, it can turn left, it can turn right, and I'm just chasing. And the worst thing is, if I run after this dog over like 100 meters and I run 100 meters in 8 seconds flat, that's faster than Usain Bolt. Yet in that moment, I still wouldn't feel successful because I haven't caught the dog. So I don't want you to chase your dreams. Chasing says, run really fast in this direction and don't feel successful until you're there. That's nonsense. I say build your dreams. When you're building something, you're putting in brick by brick, step by step in order to make something bigger, something worthwhile, something worth building. I get to watch Grand Designs now that I'm a dad, and at the beginning, you know, there's always this big hole and no one's excited. They're like, oh, it's so messy. Will you be in by Christmas? And all the focus is on when will you get this final house built? No appreciation for what they're doing. Then when the house is finally built, everyone's like, wow, what a beautiful house. But it always bugs me because I'm like, no, we should be excited at the beginning because that's a foundation. And when you've got a foundation laid, you can build whatever you want on top of it. So I just need you to know that you are, to me, a successful person. Why? Because you're here. You're here today to find out about options, pathways, and how best to move forward with your life. When you could just as easily be playing on a PlayStation, just as easily be chilling, reading a book, just as easily be doing something completely random and not constructive with your time, yet you're here. Which tells me something about you, which tells me something about the foundation you're trying to build for your life. So while you're here, I really need you to look at this and take the opportunity to get the most out of the day. And there's different levels of engagement, and what I'd really like you to do is try and make sure you're in the right level. Because you've got the level of being here and just listening. You know, you sit down, you watch, you're kind of listening, you're eating, you're on your phone and your other hand, and you're getting some of the information but not all of it. Then you've got the level of interacting, you know, where you're in there and you're like, yeah, this looks cool, yep, answering questions, and you're interacting. And you engage, but you're not registering and keeping a record of the information. So you've got listening, you've got interacting. But what I want to get you to is like fully engaged. I'm talking like your phone is off, you are focused, you're asking questions, you're taking notes for the answers, and you're really getting the most out of the time you've got here and the different people here to help. So don't just listen, don't just interact, but please be fully engaged in the information you're going to get today, because it's going to help you build the foundations that will be there for the rest of your life. So I hope you understand the importance of today, whilst also I salute you for being here today. We're in this strange time, as I said at the beginning, and I hope that the idea of, look, using this time to get to know yourself, reading new books, doing research online about different pathways. Maybe you can go and look at jobs you think you might be interested in, but really dig deep into it. How much do they get paid? What countries can you work in? What jobs are available right now in the industry you want to go in? And use all of these bits of information to get to know yourself better. Spend time writing out a vision for yourself of where you want to go in the future. These are things that will help you stay motivated during this crazy time. Because what it means is you're developing your self-awareness, and you're also getting more and more clear of what you're going to do in the future. We're in a crazy time now, but we know it's going to have to get better. So why not be prepared? And finally, I want you to look at this crazy time we're in, not as an obstacle to your success, not as something that's in your way, but as an opportunity. It's an opportunity. Right now we have more spare time than we know what to do with. which means we've got time to explore, to learn, to dig deep into things that we would just never have the time to do otherwise. We might hear about cool career ideas, but we never have the time to go and learn about them. We might hear that writing a personal statement is really important, but we don't have the time to sit down and find out all the information and bits that go into a personal statement, which you can now. So I don't want you to just see this as an obstacle. I want you to see it as an opportunity. Staying motivated is all about finding a reason to do things. Motivation is just a reason to act, a reason to do something. So use this, not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity to get to know yourself more, to get clear on your pathways, to be able to have a clear vision for where you're going so that all these decisions you've got to make in the future become a lot easier. And you come out of lockdown or corona or whatever you want to call this scenario more knowledgeable, more self-aware, and more prepared for the future than you were when you went into it. Ladies and gents, it's been an absolute pleasure to be here for today's event. I'm still in the chat, so any questions, please throw in there. I'm happy to answer them. But make the most out of this event today. And finally, please make sure you go and fill out the evaluation form. The link is in the chat. The name of this event is Post 16 Options, and the code word is one of the best pizza toppings there is, pineapple. So make sure you fill in the evaluation form. Really important to get your voice heard, give your feedback. Remember, it's Post 16 Options and the code word is pineapple. Thank you for having me. I've been Kamal Ellis Hyman. I'd love to wish you luck for the future, but I really don't. I think luck is for average people. What I'll say for you is get clear on who you are, get clear on that vision, work to build those dreams and make it happen. Thanks for having me. Peace.
Okay, so it's now time to do the evaluations before we get on to our countdown quiz. So we've just put the link to the evaluations in the chat box. If you could click on that link and answer the questions, that would be great. The name of the event that it asks for is Post 16 Options, and the code word is pineapple, which is on the screen for you now. It will also ask for your home postcode, and this is just for us to see the areas within our region that we are working with. If you've got any questions at all about the questions you're being asked, or you don't understand anything, please just put it in the chat box. You've got 5 minutes starting from now, and when the bar disappears from the bottom of this slide, your 5 minutes will be up. And then we can carry on with our countdown quiz.
Hi everyone, my name is Jess and I work for Higher Horizons Plus, and I will be your host today for our post 16 options countdown. So if you've heard of the game Countdown before or seen it on the telly, you might know how it goes. But if not, I'll just run through it for you. So welcome to Higher Horizons Plus Countdown Options Edition. So for your instructions, in this session today, you will be asked a question. The answer to this question will be within the letters or the numbers that you have been given. Your task is to create the word which relates to further education. So you can write down your answers on paper or note it down. Make sure you've got a pen and paper with you now. I'll give you a moment to get that. And when the countdown clock starts, it will last for 30 seconds. So you've got 30 seconds to get your answer in there, guys, and good luck. Let's do a practice question. Have you got your pen and paper at the ready? Okay, so practice question. What type of qualification generally has more exams? Here are your letters. So what type of qualification generally has more exams? 30 seconds on the clock. Have a look at the letters. Think about a qualification you might do where you might have to take a few more exams than normal. Look at those letters. Our countdown is on. Don't forget, guys, it's just a practice. Okay, and let's reveal that answer. A-levels. In A-levels, you generally have to do more exams than other equivalent qualifications. Okay, so that was our practice. Hopefully you get the gist of what's going to happen and you've got your pen and paper at the ready. Let's go to question 1. An apprenticeship is where you earn while you... What is that word? Here are our letters. An apprenticeship is where you earn while you... 30 seconds on the clock. Let's have a look at those letters. Think about what you do in an apprenticeship. What are the benefits of it? Have a look at the letters that are in front of you. Jot them down. An apprenticeship is where you earn while you... Okay, that's 30 seconds. An apprenticeship is where you earn while you learn. Yes, it is. So when you do an apprenticeship, guys, you're learning, you're gaining a qualification, and you're earning money. Brilliant. Okay, over to question 2. How many days in industry do you complete with a T-level? So their new T-levels are... Here are your letters. Oh, we've got numbers this time. How many days in industry? So let's have a look. We've got all our numbers in front of us. Is it one of those numbers we need? Is it 2 of them? Do we need 3 numbers? Let's have a think about it. How many days do you have to complete in industry when you do your T-level? 10 seconds left. Okay, so let's have a look. It is 45, so we needed 2 of those numbers. Now, what does it mean by industry? It means working on placement. So T-levels are new, so if you do decide to do them, you'll get lots of working experience in industry, 45 days to be exact. Okay, over to question 3 now. So what type of apprenticeship is equivalent to A-levels or BTECs? What type of apprenticeship is equivalent to A-levels or BTECs? Here are our letters, and we've got 30 seconds on the clock. So all the different qualifications there, apprenticeships, A-levels, BTECs, but what type of apprenticeship is equivalent to doing an A-level or a BTEC? Quite a lot of letters there. countdown. We've got 10 seconds left. Okay, let's have a look. And the answer is advanced. So if you do an advanced apprenticeship, you're getting the equivalent qualification to someone that would be doing A-levels or BTECs. Excellent. Okay, let's go over to question 4. So how many subjects do you usually study if you do A-levels? So this time it is a number we're looking for, but we're going to spell it with our letters. So have a look. 30 seconds on the clock. How many subjects do you usually study at A-level? Let's have a look at the letters that are there. Can we think of a number that will be spelled with those letters? We're halfway through our countdown. Let's have a look. The answer is, of course, 3. So, how many subjects do you usually do at A-level? The answer is 3. Some people do more, usually just one more, and some people do less. You can choose about 4 in your first year of A-levels, and if you want to drop one, you can. That's what I did. Okay, moving on to our final question, number 5. So, apprenticeships and T-levels give you industry experience. Now, what other qualification can give you work experience? Here are your letters. So we already know apprenticeships and T-levels give you that industry experience. What is that other? Time is counting. Let's have a look at those letters that we've got there. Can we make a word from it? Halfway through our countdown. Okay, so let's reveal our final answer. The answer is, of course, BTECs. So when you think about it, you've got apprenticeships, T-levels or BTECs. All of them are brilliant qualifications to gain and they give you that experience. So add up your scores. Let's see how everyone has done. Please pop it in the chat box next to this video and let's see how many we got out of 5. And well done everyone for having a go. Now, if you have any questions at all about any of those qualifications or your next steps after being 16, please do contact us at higherhorizons.co.uk/ask and we will be more than happy to help. Thank you so much for taking part in today's game and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you to the Higher Horizons team for hosting this extremely important broadcast surrounding post-16 options, including further education. The information that has been given today has been extremely useful, so thank you. If you have a question for any of our speakers today, please leave them in the live chat, which is next to the video player. Once that has been sent, the teams will answer your questions as soon as possible. Please remember to take some time to fill out the evaluation form. This will help Higher Horizons to find out what else you are wanting to see from them. The code word is pineapple, so please spend some time filling this out. If you also missed any of our speakers or would like to look back on any of our content, please look below the video player where there is the on-demand section. They are available to you, your family and friends 24/7. So please look to your leisure. That's all from us today. I hope that this broadcast has helped to show you the different options that are out there waiting for you. Join us on Monday the 8th of March for the beginning of British Science Week. You won't want to miss it. Remember, stay safe and stay connected.
to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. To type your question, simply click on the chat box. You will then see two symbols appear.